Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
Welcome to this week's episode of First and Goal. This week we've got Prime, 16-time champ with a poodle. We've got Dan sitting there with his Simbardi, and Meats with his Simba. Oh wait, Meats doesn't have one. That's all right, Meats. Neither do I. All right, guys, how you doing tonight?
Good.
Well, I'm in pain now, but
Good,
I
man.
was all right.
All right, so we're back down to 3 for this week's episode, and our first topic is going to be about under the radar teams. Is there a team out there under the radar that maybe nobody's talking about, and they're just going to kind of sneak into the playoffs, and that you're kind of worried about playing? And we'll start with you, Dan. Is there anybody out there that kind of caught your eye?
Yeah, so the AFC is interesting because, this is our third season. We've already had pretty much the same 6 teams in every year. Maybe one team switches every often. So under the radar is pretty tough to find in the AFC, but you have to go with the new guy that's sitting at number 3 right now in the Patriots. Not that he's under the radar, but he's just new. And I haven't played him yet. So anytime you haven't played a guy, you never know what you're going to get in the playoffs. So I think Matt might be a little under the radar. He's someone, that sounds like he does a lot of ball control, doesn't take big risks. So you got to play smart, can't make mistakes. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know, if he'll end up being the 3rd seed or not. If he is, then there's a chance, he could make some noise in there. But I'm gonna go with Matt and the Patriots just because he's the unknown one in the AFC right now.
All right, so we'll transition over to the NFC. Meats, what about you?
Yeah, so currently there's only one team that hasn't made the playoffs yet in the playoff picture, and that'd be Washington. So they're kind of like the one that everybody's going to think about, but I got to go with the Giants. I think they're sitting at 9-4. Nobody's really talking about. They're having a good season. They got a better record than I do right now. And they just have fantastic offense. They had a down year after they got rid of their 2 best players on offense, which I don't know why they did that. But now they're coming back, and they got a top 10 offense again, and their defense is not bad too. So I got to watch out for the Giants.
Yeah, he's actually seems to be turning it around quite a bit just in time to play Prime. So that's going to take us to Prime. Who do you have as your under the radar team?
Yeah, I just want to say, I don't know if a Rowan Co-led team can ever be under the radar because he is talking about himself so much. Anyway, but my under the radar team is probably Cleveland Browns and Woods. And a lot of people, he's really well liked and respected, I would say. But I feel like he doesn't win enough to gain the respect winning wise as much as he does as a person. So, and I was watching, I don't know who he might have been playing U-Bomber, and that defense is literally stars across the board. It is literally stacked. He's got some weapons on offense. If you play him and if he doesn't make mistakes on offense, that team is just tough to beat as long as he's dialed in on offense. Now, we saw him miss a field goal. We've seen him go crazy, if things aren't going his way. He's a snowball guy. If things go wrong, he's a snowball guy. But if he's dialed in, he is tough to beat, and I would not want to play him in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's definitely one that every time I play him gives me trouble. But he's going to have to win out and have a little bit of help in order to make the playoffs, I think, unless he can win the AFC North, because right now that's about his only shot.
Yeah.
But that'll take us to topic number 2. Topic number 2, so if you look at the teams across the SML right now, teams that are having success or maybe they're not having nearly any success, which one of those owners do you think would have a different outcome if they were on a different team? And we'll start with you this time, Meats.
Yeah, so I was going to try to stick to the NFC, but there's just this glaring team right here that everyone thinks, oh, he should be winning 13 games with this team. And I gotta go with ZZ and the Chiefs. That is a loaded roster. We got best quarterback in the game, maybe the best wide receiver in the game, a star-studded defense, and he's out here sitting at 6-7. He was doing better before a little mishap, but sitting at 6-7 with this good of a roster, there's no reason. I mean, you put ZZ on any other team, and he playing like this, he's gonna win 3 games maybe. So I think that's where the success, if you want to call it that, comes from. Is this roster winning? Probably going to win 7-8 games this year.
All right, Prime, who's your team?
Yeah, I hate even saying this, but I'm going to go Grams. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. So here's why. This Dallas team is pretty solid. They're a solid bunch. I didn't realize Dak Prescott was superstar until today. They've got Zeke Elliott, who when that X factor gets lit up, you're just might as well just let him score so you have time to try to compete with that because there's no stopping them. The receivers are stacked. Offensive line was good until he imploded that. Defense is average. The thing about Grams is a lot of people think he is the Grams from 2 Maddens ago where you could use or cover, where you could cover the whole field with a linebacker. When you could do that, Grams was a top 5 Madden player. The fact of the matter is Grams is 0-10 in his last 10 playoff games in the SML. He lost to Fig Newton in season 1. He went 8-8 last year and somehow made the playoffs, went one and done. And this year he's going to go 7-9 because I'm going to beat him week 17.
All right, Dan, how about you?
Oh man, I hate to take a shot at someone on this show. Actually, no, I really like to do that. Anyways, I'm going to you, Meats, man. I look at your team last year. You have Lamar Jackson. Now this year you come with Kyle Murray, escape artist. Man, I want to see you with a team that has a QB that cannot move out of the pocket. I want to see what you can do because honestly, man, every time I watch you play, every time, one time we played, it's roll out right, it's roll out left, it's taking advantage of that escape artist. And you know what? I'm putting you on blast a little bit, man. I want to see that. I want to see you with a team that doesn't have a fast quarterback and see what you can do.
So I know you got to go back a couple of years, but Prime can vouch for me. When I had the Giants and when I had the Bengals, I didn't have a scrambling quarterback. I had CJ Lester, who was a CPU-generated quarterback, awesome quarterback, couldn't run. He had like 80 speed, something. And then I had Davis Webb on the Bengals, and he had 80 speed thereabout too. And he could move a little bit, but it wasn't like escape artist. It wasn't like that. So, I mean, you guys saw what I did with those teams too. So I think that's, it is what it is.
Me said vouching. This is a all free for all show, and I'm not vouching for anybody. I'm trying to win. So.
That's right. And I'm going to give Dan a bonus 5 points for attacking a member of the show.
All right.
That'll keep it interesting. So we'll move on to topic 3. So topic 3, all 3 of you guys are in the playoffs very solidly. You got 2 guys going for the number 1 seed. Meats has been to the Super Bowl, been a number 1 seed before. If you guys could give advice to any one team for this offseason, if you could just take the team over for them, work your magic on the team, and then give it back to them, what team would you take, and what would you do to that team? And we'll start with you this time, Meats.
So I'm looking at this New York Jets roster, and I'm seeing Jake Dolgala, or however you want to say that, and Aaron Rodgers. Now, we all thought that Aaron Rodgers trade was a great trade for the Jets, and it really was because this man has maybe 10 wins in the SML ever, and he's got 6 this season. But he's since fallen off after starting 6-4. He's lost at least 3 straight games. If I had this team in the offseason, number 1 issue that I have to address day one, quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is not your long-term solution. Whether I get an early draft pick or not, I'm going to draft an early quarterback. In that first round, I'm going to play him every snap the first 2 seasons, and he's going to be my starter long-term going forward. And yeah, might be a low overall to start, but you can't have a great quarterback without having, developing him. So quarterback is the number 1 issue. Number 2, that Jets roster is really depleted. Lattin's done a really good job at bringing it back, but offensive line, need it. I'm not a big believer in the offensive line, but with a line like that, it's the only option.
Okay. Prime, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to try to get my own bonus points. I'm going to attack Meats here. So with Latin Yank, if you're gonna construct this team and you're gonna give it to him week 1, there's no way how Latin Yank's gonna be able to develop that quarterback. You just can't. He's not gonna be able to do it. You got to get veterans on that team. It's just like KJ. You got to get the best players you can. You might even want to trade that top 15 pick and get a solid quarterback option there, and sign some veteran receivers to see if he can string together a 9-win season and maybe sneak in as a 7 seed. But the team that I'm looking at, who I'd like to have for an offseason is the Dolphins. Paulie does a lot with a little, and we always talk about how good of a player Paulie really is with not a great Dolphins team. But the one knock on Paulie, and I think why Paulie is going to struggle winning a Sembardi in the SML, is not because his stick skills. He says he's a 500 player, and he's really better than that. But he's a terrible GM. He's just a bad GM. We don't talk about that, but Paulie is pretty bad at getting young talent and developing it, because he is an instant gratification guy. He likes to microwave. He likes pushing the button and having an 80 overall guy. But if you want to be great for a whole cycle, you gotta be like a conventional oven. You got to preheat these guys. You got to cook them, churn out 90 overall guys, and then you'll be good come January and February in real life, and your team will be stacked. And Paulie just doesn't do that.
It's funny you bring up Paulie, because I was actually looking at his team, and the Dolphins are one of the teams that had quite a bit of cap. They had multiple first-round draft picks, and I couldn't see what he'd done with that team other than Malik Hooker and a backup running back. So that's bonus points for picking the team that I was thinking of.
Yes.
All right, Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Seattle, the Dolphins, and Carolina. They all three have the same thing in common. Prime, you know what that is? You know what all three of those have the same thing?
They don't have championships?
No, well, yeah, that's actually 30 other owners. But anyways, they actually, all three of them traded with you. So I would go back in time and all three of them and smack them around a little bit and say, don't trade with Prime. But no, really, the team that I really like, and I think he's close, I like the Tennessee Titans and Coop. I like what he's done with the defense there. I like what he's got on offense, except the quarterback. And, that's that one major position. You got it. Like Prime said, you got to have a quarterback. It's hard to develop one. You got to get a good one. And I think Coop, man, if I could have that team for one off season, I'd be out there finding the best quarterback. And I think Coop is on the rise. So, if he can get that quarterback, I think he'd be all set.
Yep. Go ahead.
Can I, if I'm leader of the Titans, I'm going to pay Coop $150 to go to offensive coordinator school and learn when to run the ball and when not to run the ball.
Yes, that's probably quite a bit of his problem. But so that's going to take us to topic 4, our last topic, and it's the No Fun Conference. Why is it that the NFC is so boring? It just seems like there's very little rivalries or very little hype for their games. Obviously, Prime's in the AFC, so that boosts up the AFC quite a bit. But why do you think the NFC is just so boring, mates?
Yeah, okay, so I'm looking here at the standings. I said earlier, this advance, I said 49ers Cardinals. They're the best rivalry in the NFC, and I don't think it's close, because you're right, there's not really much else going on. The NFC East has a lot of, good guys, but they've been losing so much, it's like boring. And the NFC South is dookie, but again, those three other personalities have been losing so much, they're just out of there. I don't know what smells, but I don't smell it. So, and the NFC North, it's just like Faz is gonna run away with it every time. So we need, I think we need more parity in the NFC, and that's how we're gonna make it better.
Yeah, I agree. I think RD coming back will at least do something in that NFC West to make that a three team race that might make it more interesting. But all right, Dan, what do you think? Why is the NFC so boring?
Yeah, listen, it comes down to two things: personality and substance, and the NFC is lacking both. Okay, Meats gets on here, and the first thing he does is, well, let's look at the stats. No, it's about a personality. You got to have a personality to bring to the chat, to the streams, to Madden. You got to have something that actually draws people's attention. Hats off to Prime. Prime's a good example of that. You got to back it up. You got to come. Then the second problem is you got someone like Dookie and Rowan, who have all the personality in the world, but then there's no substance because they don't actually win. Okay. both of them failed in the playoffs. They let Faz get to the Super Bowl, and then you saw what happened in the Super Bowl. Both Faz and Meats lost in the Super Bowl. Okay, so the NFC, their problem is they've got to mix those things together. They need substance and they need personality, and right now they're just lacking, and they don't got anyone. Maybe the new Washington guy, Q something, I don't know. Or maybe Dump can step up there. We'll see what happens. But someone from the NFC needs to step up and actually bring some substance and some personality to this game.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there, because Dump came out firing, talking about how he was going to run away with the NFC West, and he just got smacked down the first game of the cycle, and that was kind of the end of Dump. Dookie comes out talking about Simbardi's, and he's gone as soon as he runs into Faz. Maybe they need to back up some of what they're talking. What do you think, Prime?
Yeah, I think first of all, if you're going to talk the trash, you got to back it up, and if not, you got to keep going. One thing I do is I was talking that trash season 1 and 2, and I was not backing it up. And so Dump, I mean, he folded like our co-host here. He folded pretty hard. Another thing about the AFC is you do have these key rivalries. Mostly me and Bomber, me and Dan are the big ones, and then the NFC is trying to steal the mojo a little bit. You see Rowan Kuh trying to at me, and I don't really get too much into that because I'm going to blow him out by 30 points when I play. And then you see Dookie, he tags me every so often too. Once every week or so, he'll try talking some trash, and I don't really play along with that too much either, because elephants don't deal with ants, and these guys are little ants. They're crawling around on the floor. They, like Dan said, they just got to win. You just win, baby, and then you can start talking your trash and create something on your own. Don't try stealing what we got going on over here in the AFC. You got to make something on your own.
Look, I got to defend my former division mate. That ant one time kicked a field goal that kept you out of the playoffs. Okay, I'm done.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about that, me. Resting your starters in week 16 when you could have had a bye week. You pulled a Philadelphia Eagles. You are Doug Peterson.
Yeah, and you still missed the playoffs, so cry about it.
Yeah, and I still have 16 chips, and you probably won't win them.
That's true, but I'll win one eventually.
All right, maybe. So it looks like right now we're actually tied 30 all. All three of you have 30 points, so we're going to have a bonus overtime question. And kind of Prime led us into it there. What do you guys think about resting your starters at the end of the season when everything's locked up? You don't really have much to play for. Dan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm a big anti-rest your players. You play who you got. You've got important things to be prepared for. Listen, Madden, it's funny. It's a game that there's momentum in it. As a player, as a user, okay? We all gotten in ruts before. We've all gotten in good hot streaks before. You don't want to take off and then make excuses for why you took off. Well, I was resting my players. I did this and did that. And then you go in the first week of the playoffs and you get smacked. So I'm full steam ahead. I'm go ahead and play my guys. If you build a good team, you got backups that can play. Your starters get hurt, you keep moving. So I'm all for it. Go ahead, full steam ahead. Don't rest your players.
All right, Meats, it sounds like you've been on both sides of the fence for this. So what do you think?
Yeah, you're really right about that. And I used to be supportive of it because it made sense, right? You don't want guys to get hurt when you got everything locked up. Now, I made the mistake one time resting starters when I didn't have everything locked up. That was a mistake, and I'll never live it down. But even when I do have things locked up, I feel like when I rest and take a week off, basically, I come out slow in the playoffs, and it ends up, if I don't lose, it's a real close game when I should be blowing them out. So I gotta agree with Dan here. You gotta keep playing, and Madden's about momentum, and it's at that point it's in your head. It's about the mental part of it.
All right, Prime, what about you?
So yeah, I've done it both ways. Madden's ago, I was trying to play for a 16-0 season, which I got, and I had Andrew Luck at the time, and he blew his ACL in the last game against Lawyer Killer, and I'll never forget. And I lost the playoffs. I had like Eli Manning as my backup or something, and I lost. So from that point on, I said, if I have the number 1 seed locked up week 17, I'll probably just play my backups in key positions like quarterback, running back, receiver, and play everybody else. I don't agree with resting guys if you don't have everything locked up. You know, it's a touchy subject, but for example, if I have everything locked up, if somehow Dan loses his next 3 or whatever, I will still play my starters because who I'm going to be playing. So that's also another thing. Like, I'm playing Grams, I'm playing Rowan. Sometimes the trash talk outweighs logic, and to me, sometimes, you know, this is for really, I'm going to play them twice a cycle because neither of them are going to make the Super Bowl. So this is my opportunity to give them the whoop down. It doesn't matter when it's going to be. I'm just going to do it.
All right. So hopefully you don't rest your starters, and Jonathan Taylor maybe, I don't know, breaks the leg. And, he's out for the playoffs. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of First and Goal, and it's going to be Meats with 34 points, Prime with 34 points, and Dan with 35 points.
Yeah, Bomber, you know what to do.
Dan's
man.
got his win. Had to give him that one. There you go. So your 30 seconds are starting now. Go ahead.
Listen, boys, here it's coming down, all right? Next 10 days or so, we're going to be in the playoffs. This is put up or shut up time. Regular season's nice. You got to get to the dance, but it's time to put up or shut up. And I got a lot of eyes out there watching a lot of different teams, mainly who can make the Super Bowl and actually who can win a playoff game, because there's a lot of people out there that haven't actually even won a playoff game. Prime? Okay. So good luck, everyone, man. We're excited. Let's go. Playoffs. Let's get us started season 3.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for being on this week's episode of First and Goal. Prime. Appreciate you keeping it together and not getting too emotional. But all right, guys. Till next week. This has been First and Goal.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.